Hello and welcome. Today we're going to discuss what I like to call the stepping stones of fantasy. These are fantasy novels and books that are the perfect introductions to longer fantasy series written by some of the 20th century's best and brightest authors. Now, a lot of these have become so popular, I would admit that fantasy is probably the highest selling genre of fiction in the 20th century in the world. And many of these books that I'm going to talk about have been made into plays and movies and animes and even radio dramas over a period of time. So they have become extremely well known and popular throughout the English speaking world at least. So let us begin with the biggest and most important one, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now this was published in 1936 and was originally a children's story that Tolkien had written for his own children as a precursor to the larger work, The Lord of the Rings, which is the best-selling book of the 20th century. And The Hobbit is about a hobbit named Bilbo Baggins who goes on an adventure with some dwarves to recover their lost kingdom and fortunes. And on the way, he finds a ring that gives him the power to turn invisible. And a lot more is found out about this ring later in The Lord of the Rings. I won't give you any spoilers right now. But Bilbo survives many adventures, including this adventure encounters with the dragon Smaug, and comes back home to great fame and legendary status and fortune as well. Now, next is another book that has been turned into a very, very popular movie series, The Chronicles of Narnia, and I'm talking about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Now, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was published in 1950, and the author of this series, C.S. Lewis, was a great friend of J.R.R. Tolkien and was inspired to write his series based on the success of The Hobbit. And just a brief summary of the story, in The Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe, a family of young children, the Pevensies, so Lucy, Edmund, Susan, and Peter, discover a wardrobe that can take them to the magical land of Narnia. Once they're in Narnia, they become embroiled in the fight of the Narnians against the White Witch, who is an evil sorceress. And eventually they encounter Aslan, the lion, who is fighting for the good of the people of Narnia, and they join his side and eventually defeat the White Witch. And The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is part of, as I said, the Chronicles of Narnia, which are other stories that involve the Pevensies in the land of Narnia, and they're all wonderful adventures. Great for young readers and lighthearted readers of all ages, I would say. Now, moving on in time, we have A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. This was published in 1968. It's part of the Earth, Wind trilogy, which is now the Earth, Wind cycle or sequence because there have been some books added after the original trilogy was written. It's the story of a young wizard named Ged who becomes the most powerful wizard in the land. It's called the Archipelago, and he becomes the most powerful wizard at the Rogue School of Wizardry. And it's also a tale of his travels after he learns to be a wizard, defeating dragons and defeating a shadow that threatens the entire dominion, the entire world. And just a sidebar, Ursula K. Le Guin is one of the greatest authors, period, of the 20th century and has numerous novels and numerous awards for her writing in fantasy and science fiction. If you haven't read her novels, go check out The Left Hand of Darkness or The Dispossessed. That was just a little bit of an aside, though. Now, moving on. One of the most popular fantasy realms right now is, once again, Dungeons and Dragons, which has taken new popularity since the show Stranger Things has been around. But in the Forgotten Realms writing, there is a very large fantasy series called The Legend of Drizzt, and the first and I would say most important book there is called A Crystal Shard by R.A. Salvatore, written in 1988. And now, in the Legend of Drizzt that is still ongoing today in 2023, has 38 total books. And it is all about, mostly, the lead character Drizzt, who is a drow elf. And this story, The Crystal Shard, tells of him teaming up with Brunor Battlehammer for the first time and tutoring a young Wolfgar, who is a young barbarian, and then they go up against the evil Akar Kessel, who is under the power of the Crystal Shard. So, a wonderful series indeed. We're going to have to wrap up soon, so obviously I need to talk to you about Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That is part of the best-selling series of all time, including 7 of the top 10 books of all time. Now, it is obviously very, very popular, and that is because of the joy that it brings to all sorts of young readers and adults. Now, I don't think I need to explain to you about Harry Potter, but if you haven't read the books, they are about a young wizard, a young half-breed muggle named Harry Potter, who becomes a very powerful wizard and goes against the evil Voldemort. Now, thank you for watching, and hopefully you have learned about some books that you might want to go check out. Thank you very much.